buddy Nick Kho is coming to stage. Nick Kho has a personal development company called Real Social Dynamics. Any of y'all heard of it? Real Social Dynamics? Yeah, this guy. You too? Yeah. I can tell because you're speaking loud. Kind of like you've been to a free tour. You got yelled at for it. Yeah. So anyway, how their organization works. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but Nick is like the leader of a bunch of influencers. They all have nice, really big, huge YouTube followings and social media followings. And then they all have courses, but it's all under one company. Kind of like the Wu-Tang Clan, or like, or like a franchise. Is that a good accurate, like when you bring on a new instructor, he's like a friend? I don't know, man. But it's a real interesting. They actually, because of, people are weird. They can't even spend money on advertising, right? For the most part, on Facebook or YouTube, or a little bit. I don't know, but it's mostly social media. And he has not just one guy like me or Connor, right? He has a whole army of influencers that are under his umbrella, and the company's wildly successful. I don't know if we're going to be talking numbers, but it's crazy, doing better than probably all of us. So without further ado, man, let me bring in my man Nick Kho.
So our company, Real Social Dynamics, is the world's largest dating coaching company. Connor mentioned earlier about how people are getting involved with all sorts of niches, and we've kind of got into that and combined a lot of niches. A lot of it was from the pickup artist world, because that's basically how we created our company from scratch. So for a lot of you guys who haven't really followed, we built an industry of guys who go out to bars and clubs to pick up girls with hidden cameras. And we tell guys what to say and what to do while they try to pick up girls in bars and clubs. And it's kind of a company that I created because I was someone who didn't really know how to do that myself. And so I went out to bars and clubs and got on discussion boards, talking to guys who were really good at picking up girls and writing articles that were followed by thousands of people. And these discussion boards were kind of like the substitute for what YouTube is now, because people weren't really engaging in YouTube. It didn't exist back then. But what we did do was we took all these people that were on these discussion boards talking about topics, and we got a bunch of them to meet up in real life. I was one of them who did that. I basically spent $60,000 on my credit cards and college loans to just travel around the world to meet up with guys who were talking about how to pick up girls, and got them to all meet up together. And we organized somewhat of a convention or a meetup for all this. And that kind of turned into us getting involved with writing articles together, writing field reports. And field reports are basically our stories where we say basically exactly what we said, what we did, because we couldn't have videos showing it. Now we have 16 YouTube channels with 50 to 200,000 subscribers, and we post content every day of the week on these different channels, where each guy tries to post once or twice a week on each of these different channels, and then we cross-post them on our Instagram and Facebook groups. And then for the fact that we'd like to meet up in real life, we have, I think right now it's 235 Facebook groups, one for each city, where we have somewhere around 300 to 30,000 people per Facebook group. And then I think the usual meet will be like 30 to 300 people, and it'll meet up every week. So we want to combine that offline kind of influence that you build and online world, meeting with the offline world, so that we could monetize it and make money. So we have an event that Brandon was talking about earlier. It's called the RC Free Tour. And this is one of the events that allows us to create a ton of content, where we organize free seminars in places just like this. And we do that a few times every week in different cities every week. And then at the end, we'll sell programs. Kind of like the typical self-improvement model, but we also will build almost all of our revenue from YouTube. We don't spend money on advertising like cold traffic ads, Facebook ads, all that stuff. It's all word of mouth, creating really good content. We'll do a combination of video blogs with the hidden camera infield videos. And then we've been getting more into combining niches. So Connor was talking about his success earlier, about how some people combine niches to get success. We're definitely one of those people. So we'll combine, say, general self-improvement concepts with pickup videos, or comedy with self-improvement videos, or prank videos and pickup videos, or business and pickup, and we'll actually sell these programs. So all the entertainment, the infotainment, is what we focus on. The entertainment plus the information. So it's all educational, but we at the same time will make it so people want to buy and learn from us, as opposed to just entertaining people for fun. Every single video we release has to have some kind of educational content that gets out there. We'll also have a product launch every single month, and that's usually a video membership site where we have 20 to 50 hours of content, and we'll sell it for $200 to $300 for a standard concept. Plus, we'll add another couple $100 for tiers for coaching, web coaching, live coaching events, and we'll build a team. So our guys will travel pretty much every week to different cities. They'll have a home, maybe like in Las Vegas, where we have our offices here at Sapphire, the world's largest strip club. And they actually have a Class A office space attached to it. And then we'll also have our guy Luke, for example, and he'll teach there Monday through Wednesday. And then Thursday through Sunday, he'll travel to different cities with a 3-man camera crew. He'll have local marketers that are with him in Vegas that might travel with him if he's doing a product launch. And then we'll also have our corporate team. Our corporate team manages everything from the finance, the tech, the operations, the sales. And although we'll have some guys to assist each of the influencers, our influencers are not MBAs, we're not business trained guys. I myself, learned a lot from the field. At the same time, I went through 2 MBA programs and now studying law at Harvard. And I'm really a huge advocate of formal education. And we have a lot of guys who have gone through business school that are working through our company, managing teams of people. So it's like a business, and then you have influencers who kind of learn from the streets, but they're not going to be able to create the refined, shiny processes because they're focused on so many different things like what we do. At the same time, I'm now building my own YouTube channel, built from scratch about a year ago, small channel with like 50, 60,000 subs, and also do IG posts. So I'll have a team of people who do 1-minute summaries every day of the week on my IG. But we'll do that for pretty much all of our channels. All of our channels will have pictures and videos for their Instagram every day. Our guys will snap every day. They'll do Facebook Live. They'll cross-post to Twitter. And we'll have teams of people to help them, usually like 1 to 5-man teams of video editors or video production guys. Now, that's a lot of people. So what we do is we get volunteers and interns, and we've always been based upon that. So one of the things that I did was back in the recession when we were suffering, I sent an email and I said, I want volunteers to help me out with building these local Facebook groups in all these different cities. People that could also intern with us, people who are not just working the weekends, but 20 to 40 hours a week. And do that for at least 3 months for free, but you're going to learn all the cool content that your influencers get to share and be friends with our influencers. For us, it's mostly dating coaches. And then we got 700 people to volunteer, and I'd meet them face-to-face in person and convert, say, a third of them to actually work for 20 hours a week for free. And that's how we recruited our people on payroll. We all have guys who work 3 months to 3 years for free, for fun. They could have their part-time job. I mean, in Vegas, for example, we have a couple dozen people working for us. And out of them, 5 of them are on payroll. And I would say most of them will work for free. They'll get maybe a job at night to be a promoter or a bartender, but they'll work in business administration. They'll learn from me and my teams. But that allows us to continually recruit. So we have a website called rsdemployment.com. It looks like a regular employment site. It's just that every single person we're hiring has to work for us for free. And we get a ton of people. Now the key is to manage these people because we'll cycle through people really, really fast. There's a book called Top Grading, if you ever want to read it, about how you should interview people, these rigid interviews. So I do what I call anti-top grading, where I hire everyone, but I'll put them to the test, put them to fire, and I'll give them an opportunity to work for us for free. And if they do one small task, like say, post this video that someone else edited, okay, great. Now we'll teach you how to edit these 1-minute videos. Okay, cool. Now we'll teach you how to edit the intro, the trailer, and the content, put that together. And we'll continue to build it up. And after they have done that, maybe out of these interns, after say 6 months, maybe you'll hire a dozen people, and 3, 4 maybe working on payroll later, or maybe they continue as interns, and the rest of them were trained, they left. So you'll spend a lot of time training people. I mean, we're in the business of education, so we're used to training clients. So if you want to get used to mentoring people, it's cool. I mean, eventually you'll have kids one day, so there's a chance to do that. But you'll also see people who want to be a part of the team, want to be a part of the tribe, want to be part of the community. So for us, it's all about community. My business partner is kind of like the curriculum. He's the content developer, the executive producer of content. whereas I'm kind of the guy who builds the scalable systems and what have you. I mean, I build a machine. It's a machine that has to support a lot of influencers, a lot of people that are building up their channel. And now it's my job to build the legal infrastructure to support the number of influencers we have right now. So we have 10 guys, all who have like 6-figure jobs. You travel around the world, they have their own administrations, and we're continually recruiting new guys that we could support. So they could do a product launch and we'll split revenue, split profits, but we'll all share through collaborations, cross promotions each other. So if one guy does a product launch, we're hoping that every single other channel from all these different influencers promote each other. Because the collaboration of the team is what's the power. So we've experimented with this. We had a guy, he had 3 channels, 50 to 200,000 subs in each channel. He did his own launch on his own list and made $60,000. That's cool. But then again, at the same time, we had him do that same promotion in the same 2-week launch period, and he made $500,000. And so that is the power of having these people combined together. And we'll do something like this every month. And it's not just the $500,000 you get in that first month of sales, it's the fact that you get sales every month. And I'm not talking a recurring program. Because right now I'm talking about programs that people will buy for say $200 to $300 on average. Maybe they'll spend a little bit extra, get the $500 to $600 program. But we get that money in these large membership sites, so instead of having a recurring program, people get to choose the subject they like, and they will get that large amount of money in that 2-week period, and then every single month later, maybe the first month afterwards, they get half that, and next month half that, until it gets down to somewhere around $5,000 to $15,000 a month for each product. And then we'll just keep launching a new product every single month, so our company grows at 20%. 20% is a very healthy rate, but as larger you get, the more difficult that is, because that's basically doubling the size of your company every 4 years. It's not just in terms of the revenue, but also in terms of the administration. So I have to manage that, and that's a huge challenge. It's always been my obsession, these financial numbers. So my only use of calculus of when I was in high school was just trying to see the different rates and different variables and try to get them to go together so that we could survive and grow and thrive. And that's the biggest challenge I've been facing because we have a lot of growth. So you'll have a guy who has administration. Maybe we'll give him a mansion in the Hollywood Hills, a 5-bedroom house, and we'll have a team, we'll have an office, and we'll have like 5 to 10 people working with him. Whereas another guy, he'll have like a smaller house, maybe have like 3 bedrooms in Vegas, but it's a lot cheaper, and then you'll have more people running through there. Or another guy will get office space for free, because we get a lot of people who volunteer for us. We even have people who are going through a program called the Shadow Program. So the Shadow Program is people who want to volunteer, but they want to have a guaranteed acceptance. So as opposed to having to apply, they'll just give us $500, they can work for us for free for the weekend. Other people, they'll give us their office space, or they'll give us their home. And then we'll allow them to attend these $2,000 weekend programs that we have every weekend, multiple cities around the world. So our main bread and butter is a program called the Boot Camp. It's a $2,000 live training program where we go out to bars and clubs. Now, a lot of people are always wondering, how do I make content? Now, for us, we create these live events, and then we video record it, and we turn it to membership sites. We turn it to free content on YouTube. So we don't have to go out just during the pool time and go to pool parties, which we still do as well. And we'll have different channels for that. We'll have another channel called the Free Tour channel. Now, for example, an RC Free Tour channel is us doing live seminars, and then we'll sell those seminars eventually, but we'll take hours of our best content and release it for free. Every day we'll release these 30 to 90-minute free videos because our free content is better than most competitors' paid content. And that allows people to want to see to us, and also kind of raises the bar for us. And that's fine, because we'll just raise the bar for ourselves, as opposed to having, say, a $2,000, $3,000 camera rig. We now have over $1 million invested in camera gear. Our typical camera rig will be like $5,000. For example, that camera right there is a 1 camera, and it's a $5,000 rig with Manfrotto tripod, a A7S II at the Sennheiser mic system. That's just $5,000. Not too expensive. We used to use cheaper stuff. We've never gone the route of what I've heard from influencers where you just use an iPhone. We've used cheap camcorders, but now usually we'll have, say, at a free tour, maybe 4 of those rigs and 4 cameramen. But you don't have to start off that way. We didn't start off that way. We used to start off with our instructors going through training. So even now, let's say I just hired a 21-year-old kid. He wants to pick up girls, double his income, and then have a chance to make a 6-figure income in a year. So he might have one of those rigs, and then he'll put the tripod in front of him and just record himself, doing that a lot. He'll have some volunteers who will volunteer an intern with him after he gets some popularity. Maybe a month later, he'll have 2 or 3 guys who will cover their own airfare or their own car, And we'll get volunteers so they could crash on their couch, crash on their floor, and travel with them to getting content. And so we'll do that. Every single instructor or influencer in my network has a mini army of an administration. Usually about a dozen people combined together, but at least a half dozen people at all times all year. But it'll cycle through continually. So throughout that year, he might have experienced a few dozen different people working with him. So there's a lot of manpower. So for me, you need to have somebody, if you're going to play this game, that is going to organize the pieces and is able to network. Because I'm continually networking, going to events like the event here, like speaking at them, meeting people. And I'll interview influencers for my channel and also do cross promotions. Most of my friends in Las Vegas are people that have a business and are involved with the influencer network, whether it's in video games, in esports, or whether it's in pranks or social media of some kind, or they're in some kind of business. Like I have friends who are in real estate. I'll do real estate podcasts. So we'll suck out all the audio of my already existing videos and then cut my videos into Instagram videos, or cross-promote like chunks of them into Facebook, and then cross-promote on all different platforms. So one video kills it all, and we'll have little teams of people that will cross-promote the chunks on the different networks all at the same time. I guess the biggest thing for us is consistency, regularity, and a hub. So we have a hub called rsdnation.com. So where every single instructor and influencer gets their day of the week. They go promote their video blog, which is a post to send all the email traffic to us. So I don't know, if we send out an email, maybe like we send it out to 600,000 people, maybe 86,000 people read it. Maybe if it's like a very niched list, maybe 6,000 people. But those are people that are targeted to be customers of ours. And then we'll get them to continually go to RSD Nation as our hub, and we'll have a discussion board there where we'll have our most, loyal advocates for discussing stuff. With social media, a lot of that has changed in terms of traffic. Like most of our traffic and money is coming from YouTube for sure, in terms of traffic to our product websites. But the highest converting is still a classic email list, or classic discussion boards. That's where the money gets really high conversion rates for the percentage of people that see the videos and see the content. But we also have meetings. So every single month our influencers will try to meet in some way, whether it's face-to-face or it used to be through our phone calls or reports, and they'll share ideas, share collaborations. And we're kind of expected to fly across the world, to fly to Toronto, make a video for the weekend, and fly back to your home back in America or somewhere else in Europe, because we know the value of that, because it's the same people that are collaborating with each other again and again and again. I know that this, for some people, sounds like it's competitive, but it's really not. It's actually the collaboration that makes the network work. My company wouldn't exist if it was just one man doing collaboration. If I wanted to create my own business education program, or my business partner Owen wanted to create his own dating and self-improvement program and not give any money to the core, that could happen, and we could probably make a six-figure income. But if you want to make a lot more than that, like what we do, so we have a team, and that's how we make a lot more money than that. But it's cool. I mean, the average person working for us has a six-figure income and is expected to get that within 1 year working for us as an instructor. But these are people that, if they want to become an instructor, they usually will intern with us or volunteer for us for 6 months to 3 years before they're given an opportunity to see if we like them. And maybe you have a 3% chance of actually becoming that instructor, because even if you are good at the content, the biggest thing about us is the core values. So we need people that are trustworthy, that have a positive attitude, are loyal, the people that we want to hang with, we want to grab a beer with. It's really, really important, because these are people that are kind of like, it's kind of like your wife or your significant other. You know, you're with these people so often, it has to be that close of relationship, that level of trust. I've learned that once you lose that trust, or you don't have that kind of partnership, you have to end it immediately. And we've had to do that with people, or else you lose too much. Don't try to remediate the situation. It will never work. It's better you just cut your losses and get rid of them every single time. And I know that because I've had to go to federal court against people and win. But it's tough. You don't want to do that with people that have been friends of yours or friends of the company for years. The other thing is we also want to make sure we control the budgets and finances, because we've had a lot of situations where influencers have their own budgets, and that's cool. But if it gets too big and too out of hand, there's not enough time on your part for oversight, because you have a lot of time you need to focus on managing your own businesses, as opposed to micromanaging a budget. You could lose a lot of money. I mean, I've had hundreds of thousands of dollars misappropriated, and also just straight out stolen. And it sucks, especially when it's people that you're supposed to trust and be with. So you got to make sure you control the budgets, control the finances, no matter what. You can give your influencers control, but if you're going to be a manager of an influencer and they trust you to be that guy, you got to be someone who can manage the money a lot better than they can, and do it in a way that's tight and will show the profit margins. And you can look at the numbers continually. So we have reports also for each of our teams, goal-setting activity reports, where you say, hey, this is what I want you to accomplish this week. These are roles and responsibilities I want you to do. And we'll track that from a very objective standpoint, our numbers. And then we'll have people continually put out new initiatives. And that's what allows us to determine whether our guys are working on campaign A, B, or C, or working one kind of technology versus another kind of technology. And it's something that's been really useful for us to manage teams. I know that traction was mentioned earlier, and I think that was great. It was based upon the entrepreneur operating system of the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a club that I was on the board of for about a decade, where you have all the entrepreneurs that are in the club, like 30, 40,000, are making over $1 million a year, and they all share ideas in non-competing industries. And this operating system was kind of revealed by a former member named Gino Wickman. And he talks about also from lessons he learned from a guy named Vernon Rockefeller habits. And one of the things I remember about what he said was, when you're first starting off a business, and in ours it was, you know, the education business, publishing, entrepreneurial influencer business, you are so used to not paying yourself a certain salary. But what he wanted was a situation where no matter what, you're forced to pay yourself 10% of your revenue just to spend on things as a motivating factor to push yourself to the next level. We definitely do that. My business partner and I definitely do that. But we also are then forced to tighten our budgets and really push things to make sure that we're growing. I think that the thing about where I've been is that I put myself continually on the line. It hasn't been a business that was just about money. It was a passion project. I mean, I've been in a position where the money was so tight, I've spent 2 weeks living in my 1997 Toyota Avalon at an airport parking lot. I had a situation where I had $600,000 in debt on credit cards. And in order to survive, I sent out a volunteer list email. And then I took a map. I said, look, we have millions of people on our website every month, and there's an airline map. So if Americans are flying to these cities, it's probably because there's money there, there's business. So I put every single city on the map. I think it was like Delta or United or both. And I just put dates next to all of them, organized them in 30-day segments. So I could have a board meeting once a month with my team in person. And then I organized a free event, and I sold, on average, 20% of the room on a product that was $300 to $2,000. And I got rid of all my debt in like 6 months, and it allowed us to grow. But that was a massive change in kind of like the business model. It also was a situation where I was living very, very frugally. I mean, I was living off of all the cheap kind of tricks you could do to survive. I mean, when I was in LA, I would always sneak into, say, the Courtyard Marriott or the other affiliated chains to get their free breakfast. I would spend $1 to get that soda so I could have unlimited bread and butter. I would go to the hotels that I had the highest tiered platinum status and use their free Wi-Fi and eat their fruit, because I've been in situations where I've been broke. I've also been in situations where I've had a lot of money, tons of money. I mean, right now I own my house outright. I have a Tesla. I could travel around the world. I could fly private. I could fly commercial. I could go anywhere in the world I want. But I've also had those fluctuations, and I put myself on the line all the time. And I do it without any fear. I feel like when I'm talking to a group of entrepreneurs like yourselves, I look at the room and I imagine as if the room was all Navy SEALs. Because if I didn't, I would be forced with the reality that most of the people in this room won't survive. 99% of people won't survive because they go out of business in the first 5 years. If you're in, say, the educational business like yourselves, net rate says that the average profit margin for an educational-based company is 10% net. And if you're, say, starting off and you have $100,000, that means you're netting $10,000. It's really tough. I was fortunate because we got started off in a niche that turned into an industry where we were the first company incorporating the entire industry, which is this industry of guys who teach how to pick up girls live face-to-face and actually do it with you on the weekends for thousands of dollars. And now it's an industry where if you go to any city in the world, there's dozens of one-man competitors in each of the 270 cities we do business. And we do these programs 1,000 times a year. But what we've seen is that now that we have scale, the operational costs of what we could spend on, say, travel or hotel or even a conference room for numbers, we get more profit per dollar. So as a result, we have no concern about this. In fact, I see in the future, my business partner and I were talking about even creating ourselves as like a PGA. Now, I'm a golfer like Connor as well, where people could even go to us and learn how to even compete against us because we have no concerns about competition anymore. But when we're in the virgin industry, we were extremely concerned about this. So we had to create very solid contracts. We had to have only people we trusted. And we didn't really share about how we operate our business. Now I have a YouTube channel where I talk about everything I do, completely openly and honestly. I even have a program I sell where I talk about how we created RSD from inside and out. I'll even mentor people on how we did that for fun, just to get content from my YouTube videos. But yeah, so we were able to make a company that generates a lot of revenue, tens of millions of dollars, and we have one of the fastest growing companies that I would say. Also, Inc. Magazine said we're like, I think, 85 companies that were created in California in terms of fast growth in 2008, which is ironically the same year that I moved into my car. So I guess in terms of like fast growth, you got to be very careful about scaling and also make sure you're managing the content. Now, today, my business partner spends most of his money on two things. One, video gear. Tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, we spend so much money on video gear, I can't even keep track of it. I always get text messages of purchases, random purchases from my concierge, who is mostly to buy video gear. So like, oh yeah, we just spent $3,000 on camera gear because Aaron bought it. And then Owen bought another $4,000 in camera gear. I just get these text messages. And I expect it to happen almost every day of the week. And then the second thing we'll spend money on is probably on payroll. I guess I was going to say also clothes, because my business partner Owen, he'll spend like $8,000 on a jacket, maybe $20,000 on the official Tyler Durden jacket from the movie Fight Club, because his nickname's Tyler Durden. But I mean, it looked really cool on video. So it allows you to present that larger than life persona through visual effect, but also because you're actually living it. So he'll travel around the world, he'll teach you guys how to pick up girls, he'll teach about his beliefs and higher purpose, and he's created an awesome tribe and community because he's kind of like a Neo in the Matrix in terms of being able to describe the intricacies of self-improvement and dating and concepts that are very high level. And as a result, it captivates people on a very intellectual level. We're not the big guys who get the physique. Some of our guys are following Brandon Carter and getting some of that, like RC Max. Oh, yeah. That guy's getting in shape. Yeah. I will say in 14 weeks, just from diet alone, I've lost 50 pounds, which is pretty awesome. And I'll still play golf. I'll play golf, not less than I should. I'll play like once a week as opposed to hitting the gym very often. But I want to get back into strong workout routine. I mean, I used to believe that if I could prove to my staff that I could run the business, I could teach a program, video record my program, and still do a race, a long distance race like an Ironman, marathon, a triathlon, and do that every single month, then they can't complain about sleeping on the couches and the floors of our volunteers and our volunteer network. And so I did that. And I did that myself. In fact, I did it to such an extreme. I remember being in this event about this size. It was in Krakow. And I had nowhere to stay. So I said, if you had a great time tonight, raise your hand. Now keep your hand raised if you want me to crash on your couch, floor, or bed. Cool. You there. I'm going to stay at your place tonight. And I literally did that. And that was after I upsold a few $1,000s worth of program because I was losing net $6,000 a day because we have a machine. It's a very expensive machine to create all the awesome free videos and content that we have to share with a lot of people. And so as a result of that, I have to make sure that I continually feed that machine. And it's a challenge, but I want a situation where I could take a break. So as an influencer, if you take a break, unless you have backup queue of videos, you won't have content or business. Now for me, I have a team of other influencers, so I could take a break, say 3 years, 1,000-day break. I did that. I stayed on the board of my company, and my company still stayed about the same. I came back to it, and it started to grow again. And I did that while I was working on the potential of other companies, like a tech company, and also to focus more on my wife and my relationship. And now I'm back in the game, working 40, 80, or more hours per week. We have systems that track that, like Time Doctor, which allows us to track by the second, every single second our people work. And then my team can see how much I'm working and what I'm doing, and I can see what everyone else is doing. So we have full transparency on our accounting, on our roles and responsibility. Yeah, Time Doctor, it's a phone app, but it's also something you could track on timedoctor.com. We are extremely transparent more than anything else as a core value in terms of how we make our money, who we do business with, what we believe in, what we're teaching, how we got to where we are. Everything we teach is from field experience, and everything we do also is very fun. So we'll have a lot of comedy, a lot of. I would say that we're always trying to push the limit of how we do our live events for entertainment purposes. I mean, you might go to an event that's about how to pick up girls, and suddenly you're doing crowd surfing. Maybe you're doing interactive exercises where you're screaming at the top of your lungs. I mean, we're going so deep that I started creating business education hip-hop videos that turn into a concept of a musical built for Broadway, to be a hip-hop musical for Broadway, turned into an idea for a TV show and a documentary, and all sorts of ancillary projects that we're working on internally, because I kind of like being known as Dr. Infotainment, a guy who's internally building a system that's both educational but also entertaining at the same time. We have guys who are continually refining their skills. They're doing improv, they're doing comedy classes, they're doing music. I know recently one of my instructors had on his channel, RSD Jeffy, he created a comic book, Fast Pickup Artist, and he would zoom in and zoom out like a Marvel animated cartoon series with a story plot and actors being our other influencers as voices. It's just kind of a continuing innovation. Even in our sales letters, we've had comic strips in our sales letters. We'll have interactive video games. We'll have these 30-page standard sales letters I learned from my mentor. He was the guy who created internet marketing, internetmarketing.com, Corey Woodle. He wrote this guide that doesn't exist anymore, but you might be able to find it somewhere on the internet. It's called The Insider Secret to Internet Marketing. And that was kind of like my Bible about how to do the email marketing and internet marketing of the time. Now there's a lot of greats out there from digitalmarketer.com, et cetera. In 5 years, I spent over $1 million going to masterminds. Every single week I'd go to one or two. It was pretty hardcore. Now I don't really go to them unless I speak at them. I've developed a great network, and I'm trying to build my YouTube channel for two reasons. One, I want to find out what people want me to talk about so I could become an influencer myself in more of the business world, and also develop the business line of business education within my company. And the second thing is I wanted to reconnect with always great people in my network, because I learned so much from people like my buddy Tony Hsieh or John Ozeroff or other people that I've known for well over a decade, but I am drinking buddies. So I wanted to be able to have a chance to focus on educational content. I've gone to a lot of events where I've learned from these people as well. But I want a chance where I could go deeper, just ask my questions, and maybe that will inspire me to get answers myself. I originally started having difficulty when I wanted to start from the very beginning, becoming an influencer that was just doing vlogs from the beginning. I didn't really know what to talk about. It was really difficult. I remember I went to Park City, Utah, and I thought, maybe if I have these beautiful mountains in the background, I could just talk about business and make it really educational, entertaining. That didn't really work. I had to basically say 3 sentences, then stop and do a cut at a different angle and another. Then I started interviewing people, and it allowed me to build content where I now got to the point where I could talk for days about pretty much any topic. That freestyle public speaking was not something that I kind of generally naturally had. But I just did that through interviewing people and then I got back into the loop of things. Of course, I was an instructor for my own company for many years. When we first created our company in 2002 to 2005, I was teaching programs every weekend. I was going out and hitting the field to bars and clubs. I didn't care about the business. It wasn't interesting to me. Any time of business was time away from trying to meet up with girls. And that's something that I really need to do. I really have a typical large soul circle. I came from a family where my parents wanted me to focus so much on education because my father was a university president, my mom was a kindergarten teacher. I'm such a student, I think I've been in college now for about 15 years. A lot of college experience. And I'm probably going to be in college for the next 15 years, but still being in charge of this company, still trying to learn, still trying to grow. One of my core values is continual education. There's no CE credits or continuing education credits for entrepreneurs. You know, when I was a stockbroker, you were required to do that. You know, I'm probably going to pass the bar and get my attorney's license, you know, and I'll probably have to do CE for that too. But that doesn't really exist as an entrepreneur. We kind of have to create our own through events like this. And for me, it's been a lot of networking, masterminding with the people that are kind of like the people like in this room where you have your peers. And I try to spend as much time as I can. It's just that every day of the week I get invited to events. Now I'm in Vegas, and this is actually my quiet time. Because if I go to a city like LA or New York, there's appointments set for me like every hour. And I could set it up like that here in Vegas because people fly to here as well. But there's a whole world outside of the Strip where you can just hang out, play golf, chill, and kind of relax. It's kind of funny that I could say that because at the same time in my house, I have people working at my house all the time. Especially if there's like a product launch. We'll have you know, a half dozen iMacs and MacBooks on a table and then guys working and pummeling out projects while I'm at another office with my team working in executive level stuff, operations. And then I might have the marketing team, having a marketing team meeting in another room. I mean, historically, we've typically spent most of our time in residential space turned into office space. We do have official office space as well. We had it in Boston, we have it here in Vegas, and we'll probably get larger space in Vegas. Because I found that like then you won't have people trying to crash in your office. I guess for me though, it's been a lot of real roller coaster of a ride. I'd be really interested in also hearing about what you guys are particularly interested in learning about, or answering any questions you guys had as well.
I have a question. Maybe Owen, at one point, your business partner, Owen, he mentioned that maybe, I don't know if it was Owen, but someone said that you guys know how much actual YouTube video is worth, and not advertising on YouTube, but how much money you guys have predicted, how much money each YouTube video brings in. And I'm assuming that's important as far as a return on investment because you guys don't do traditional advertising like pay-per-click or anything. What's the algorithm for that?
So I mean, we will base things off statistics that we create. And so when you're asking, how do I predict with accuracy how much a product launch is going to make? And so what I'll typically do is I'll look at the YouTube videos and I'll say, hey, okay, this guy has in his network, he'll have, say, 2 channels. I'll expect between his launch in that first month, a typical influencer on one of my channels may make $2 per person who's subscribed to their channel in the first month of that product launch, on average. We'll also make other kind of predictions, such as, let's say that somebody has a VIP interest list, which is an email list where people type in their name and email on the product website before the product launches, where you have a countdown clock to the launch of the product. And then on that situation, we'll say it's $4 to $5 per person who opt-ins in the first month of the launch. And you know, it's not the most accurate, but for our network, that's what it is for us. For other people, it'll be different. But I mean, we have it still promoted on all the different platforms outside of email and YouTube. But on average, when I look at that, I primarily use a VIP interest list, not even for special marketing. We might in the future where we do it like a year in advance, but it's mostly just predict revenue so I could make my budgets and decisions on budgets based upon how much I expect to make from product launches. It's pretty hardcore. I mean, I'll even do that for, say, live programs. For live programs, we'll take our monies in advance. So if a program's like $2,000 to $3,000, we'll take maybe 25 or a third of it, or even 100% of it, but up front before you launch the program. We'll have both options available. By default, it's up front. Click the payment plan option, it goes to the other. That way half the people buy one, half the people buy the other. Great way to raise cash flow, especially if you're doing a deposit system.
Another good question, this might be beyond the scope of maybe personal, this might be self-indulgent. You never have upsells after the page when on your products. I know you're doing a 3-tier system. Is that what's the thinking behind it?
Well, inside of the membership site itself, there is upsells. So what you could do is you buy the product, and you could get upsold to upgrade. Second thing, though, is that every single person who buys a product is highly likely to get a text message or an email, or both, that gets them into a campaign where we'll funnel them. So if they respond to the text, it gets sent back to a special account, which looks like a text message to them, but it's actually like an online email looking thing to us, but still a text. And then we'll get their phone number, get them on the phone. Then you expect 9 out of 10 people you get on the phone to buy from you if you're a good talker. And we'll train people how to talk, how to close, how to make sales. I know that when Owen and I would go on the phone with people, I definitely expect at least 9 out of 10 people to buy something from us every single time we talk to somebody. So we have to train our reps to do the same thing.
What's the minimum amount you would put somebody on the phone for a sale?
Oh, anything.
Like $20, we put somebody.
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do those campaigns all day.
How do you compensate your salespeople? I'm sorry.
Well, our salespeople get compensated off commission.
Oh, what's the typical commission?
It could be a sliding scale. It could be anywhere from 1% to 3% if they're on payroll. And it could also be from 5% to 10% if they don't get an hourly at all.
Just straight commission.
Just straight commission.
And it's the ceiling.
Yes, however, we'll do bonus campaigns. I haven't seen as much success from bonus campaigns as just offering a regular pay. I think that a lot of people will also do this for free. I mean, if I had people that would do it not for any commissions, they just want to do it from the field experience of learning from me how to make sales, how to do marketing, how to get the business administration, how to run a sales team, how to manage clients, how to manage different software programs, so they could use these skills and take it at another job, which makes them very hireable. And so if you work with us, you work usually with me directly, or one of the executives, the instructors, directly. The value of that's priceless. I mean, I know that if I was going to teach a program one-on-one, that would cost a lot of time. These are people who get to do it for free. Especially if it's my business partner, Owen, who people view as the recreation of Jesus Christ.
You do.
How do you select your instructors? Like, what are you looking for in your potential instructors? And then what do you do to train them?
Usually it's people that we get along with, that we think are smart. But remember, we hire people with trustworthiness, they're loyal, and they have a positive attitude. Yeah. Now, I believe that any single person on the planet can be trained to do any job. I believe that just like we teach that pickup, meeting girls is a skill set, so is finance, sales, marketing, and any other. And so I believe very firmly in that. I think some people believe that could be an intellectual thing that you're born with. But I believe that unless you have some kind of severe illness or disease or some kind of hardcore factor that affects you, everyone more or less comes from the same cloth. Some people will claim otherwise, but I don't believe that because I think 99.9% out of the time that's not true. I believe that everyone could master anything.
So how do you train them?
So we get them through a process of getting them one small responsibility first. And that's on a GSAR reports, which is an Excel spreadsheet where we give them the bare minimum. And we say, this is the bare minimum that if you don't accomplish this, you're terminated from your internship. If you do accomplish this goal, that's what we expect everyone who's working for us to accomplish. And if you accomplish this goal, it's a stretch goal, which means it's great. That means they'll give you a little bit more responsibility. And they hit that goal, then they'll get a little bit more responsibility and have more roles and chances for advancement. If they fail to hit that bottom level goal 3 times in a row, they're fired. They hit the bare minimum goal, then they'll stay where they are. And that's how we grow from there. Now, doing that for a lot of people is a challenge. Most people can only directly manage 10 people at a time maximum. So that's one of your biggest challenges. Now, you could recruit from your friends and family. You could also recruit just through random people walking down the street. I mean, I've hired people on the golf course, just playing golf with random people. Yeah. So, I mean, the best people that I've gotten are people that are loyal to the brand. They've been customers. They've been following our videos. The best ones have been customers though, because they buy into the product, they've been testimonials for the product, and the reason why they're going to work for us for free passionately is because they know that our product is awesome. And it's the high quality content that allows you to take everything up there, you know, whatever your niche is. Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of networking and masterminds, and I'm from Vegas, and I met other online entrepreneurs in the city, and then I thought I'll bring everyone together for a mastermind. And I had my first mastermind where each one like talked about their business and talked about what they're struggling with, and all the other people were brainstorming strategies on how they can go after it. And it went well, was fantastic, and I made a Facebook group. But then after the first meeting, it fell apart. Like everyone flaked, and if the group fell through. So do you have any tips on how I can like keep this mastermind going, like people invested in it?
There's a group called the Young Presidents Organization. So if your company has at least 15 million in revenue, or 50 people, you could join this club. And then they created this forum. And you know, this forum is basically the concept that allows a mastermind group to continue month to month. You don't have to you know, be in that club during the process. The process is basically you get a group of 6 to 12 people. That's it. And then you meet and you go over your personal, family, business objectives and goals that you set for each other as an accountability group, and you go through the process of sharing what your ideas are. Now, the biggest thing that people have to do is they have to talk from personal experience only. So you want to get people that are qualified, not just any person to be in your forum, but peers though. You're in the same range talking about the same level stuff. And then what you do is you'll share what's called the Gestalt Method. It's a philosopher that says, as opposed to saying, you should do this, you should do that. She said, well, from my experience, I've done this, 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 this. Even if it's not exactly what it is, it's an ancillary topic, but it still adds some value to what that is. And people will get that value. Also, you have an executive retreat. We go on vacation together. You'll do fun things together. You do dinners maybe once a month, but you have ancillary things as a part of it. Now, if you go to YPO or the EO Entrepreneurs Organization, where like everyone has, you know, really successful businesses that have been developed, you know, you also will have the different forums that network with each other. There's a lot of people who do that formally for you. I know that Vistage will do that for you no matter how much revenue you have. But at the same time, if you are doing over $250,000, you can join the Accelerator program for EO. And that's a great program. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so again, this is self-indulgent. I've learned a lot from like you and Owen over the years, and our business has like I think has blown up a lot as a result. You know, like double, triple since I've met you and Owen. I'm friends. You guys are like role models to me. You guys, I'm doing what you guys are doing as far as like the other influencers under like our umbrella, like Connor signs us. We do this program, just marketing. You know, Deja Bella over here, and we're going to be right here.
That's awesome.
Things, but I know it's not all easy running these other influencers in their business. What are some things I should look out for as I embark on following your footsteps? What are some things? Where are some landmines I should watch out for?
That's a great question, because that's a question that I've been dealing with a lot recently. You know, we recently had an instructor that was caught stealing a lot of money from us. You know, and is under investigation of stealing a ton of money from us, and we had to get rid of this guy. And I think that a lot of the things that happened was our fault because we didn't create a system that prevented that from happening. And the key is I had to make sure that I was giving transparency and the ability to freedom, because every single person who's an influencer is doing it out of freedom, the idea and concept that they want to be in charge of their own destiny, they want to be a business owner. And that's true, they could do that, but you got to control the flow of the money, make sure it's going to the right places, that's helping the business overall, not just for, say, food or, say, some other ancillary product that doesn't help the business, you know, or vacations or clothes or some other thing, you know, personal rent. You gotta make sure also that you have very clear contracts that protect you, because if you don't, it's going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. Because if you have a disagreement and you don't have an operating agreement about how the money could be spent, it could be determined in civil court to not be, say, you know, a fault. It could be that they just spend whatever salary they want to spend. You got to make sure you have specific compensation structures spelled out. If you want to have a system where everyone feels like they're growing though, and they're being a part of the team, you want to create a system where people could grow together. I mean, one of the challenges that we're focusing on right now is how to create some kind of plan so that when our instructors retire, they feel like there's a pot of gold that they could collect at the end because they didn't violate the terms of their work with us. And that allows them to stay loyal to us. And also, if we want to kick them out, we could still give them a pot of gold without being in bad terms, because we don't want to hurt the brand. The biggest challenge you'll also face is you'll lose influencers, whether it's, you know, one guy or the next. When that happens, you don't want your fan base to be angry at you. Oftentimes I have to play the bad guy. And I'm okay with being the bad guy, because I also know that someone has to be the bad guy. If you have a disagreement with somebody, you got to be that guy, and then it sucks being that guy, and you have to be ready for that. Because there'll be a lot of disagreements about how things are going to be done. So you want to have a situation, though, where you can kick these people out and not upset your fan base. But make it so that you have a situation where that influencer is willing to leave and move on, and you don't have to do anything with them because you don't like working with them anymore, or they don't like working with you. So twofold. One, those golden handcuffs that makes them want to stay with you longer, but also you're giving enough value that they want to stay with you longer. And the second one is that you also have the opposite side of things, as opposed to that reward. Also, what are they going to lose? You know, how much is their revenue going to drop when they lose from you? You know, they're going to maybe just lose the power of the network. How you can make that network as powerful as possible so you don't want to leave that. Also, how are you going to make it so that they can't just take that niche that you're attacking really hard and walk away with it? Now for us, we're so interested in preserving our business in terms of that niche, that network, because we're trying to destroy the niche and not make it a niche anymore. We're trying to make it saturated by helping other people even compete with us, teaching people. And we'll be known for our content helping other people to create their own businesses and higher quality content. They'll have come from us first. And so we have the advantage of doing that because we created an industry from scratch. Most people don't have that kind of edge. I mean, when you have an 8-figure business and the next biggest competitor has a low 6-figure business, you could do that. You know, it's kind of hard to do that when you're in some other kind of niche. But I do believe that in my world, I prefer to be number 1, 2, or 3 in my world, or I just leave the industry, because that's a game that I like operating in. It allows me to make power moves and kind of shift things along the way. Changing in the business model has been huge. I mean, we've changed from a business model that was 100% for the first 4 years of our business, one program, the $2,000 boot camp. That was it. And we made our first year in business $1 million plus. But that was, a lot of work, because we're teaching one-on-one. So I'm getting people that are volunteering their time to work for me for free, and we're collecting the money from that, and they're learning from us. And we're doing it one-on-one. Now it's 3 as a ratio for these 3-day programs that are 20, 25 hours or more on the weekends, because it's like you meet at a hotel, we'll give you a seminar, and then from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock you might go towards a bar or club, and then from 11 o'clock to 2 a.m. you're going to the bar and club, and then from 2 to 4 you're doing a debrief, and you might have some seminar earlier as well. It's a lot of work. So we changed from that business model to a business model now we have large group seminars that are $300 or $1,000 or $1,500, and we'll do them every single week. And we also have these video membership sites. And then we had to go from like discussion boards to being a YouTube celebrities to being on other platforms, to Snapchat, IG, Facebook, everything else. Whenever there's a new platform, we're always on it too. The newest technology, what's the new webinar jam or whatever. Just try everything, because all technologies continually shift and change, and your business model has to be completely mobile. And you have to be willing to sacrifice and everything all the time. Even the business model and operations, the marketing, the proprietary information, everything. You know, I'm willing to just give away assets or destroy assets to make the company survive, because I'm all about sacrificing for the community to make sure the community survives. Community that we built within our customers, within our family of staff as well.
I know a big risk with online products is people downloading them illegally, torrenting. So how do you manage this problem?
We do a service through a company called PyroShield. Okay. They do a great job. I think we give them somewhere from $3,000 to $15,000 a month, every month, just to take down stuff. But if you don't have that money, you can do what we used to do. A team of 8 interns. And their job was to take that one letter that our attorney wrote called the DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act Notice, that says you're a violation of the Copyright Act notice of the DMCA. Please take down your videos. And YouTube makes it really easy, because they DMCA notice through a button, and you just type in the URL. And then a DMCA notification takes down their stuff, right? So that's great. You could also do it through trademark protection. You could also do it through registered copyrights. Now, being in America, you could register your copyright, and so if someone violates it, you could have instant collection of money. So if someone violates my copyright, I could just send a letter, say, okay, you just violated my copyright, take it down, or within 7 days, I'm submitting this to court, and you owe me at least several $100s, if not several $1,000s. And it's an automatic win every single time you go to court. You know, so that's a great thing. Trademark protection. I mean, our trademarks, RSD, Real Dynamics, our brands, like the names of our, the screen names or pen names of our instructors, all that is trademark protected. Common trademarks and also registered trademarks in every country in the world. So we have a great attorney, and that helps, you know. The other thing, though, is just to put your stuff out there first. You know, first mover, first to publish, always wins, regardless of whether you have a registered copyright or trademark. So just innovate, put your stuff out there, don't be afraid of people stealing it, and just keep making better quality content.
I've got a question. With your main influencers, how do you make sure that they are always up to speed with the latest tips, techniques, ways to make their business better?
Easy. You just keep them in the field. So our guys, every single week, are teaching 1, 2, 3 programs minimum with clients, dozens of them. So they're always getting new stories from teaching other people. There's no better way as an influencer in education than teaching our clients, teaching people to share information. Also getting them to new experiences out of their traditional paradigm. So we'll send our guys all over the world, to every continent, every random adventure. And we'll put all of it on video so the content's always fresh and new. When you have intelligent people that are interested in living a crazy wild life and teaching people like an influencer, just kind of giving a rock star of what appears to be an unlimited budget so that he can do whatever he wants and just make money. And so we just need to be that guy that allows these influencers to live that life and do that, create the content.
So how do you, like for example, if one of your influencers is doing particularly well at something, do you have systems or techniques to disseminate that, or is it just via the videos?
So we usually have 3 different kinds of videos, and it's like the video blog where he just walks around this beautiful environment. So if he's in Paris, maybe he's in front of the Eiffel Tower, and we're sharing ideas. And there's all sorts of people that might interact with him, and he'll interact with the people. Maybe he'll go to a bar or club and make an infield video blog, which is a second time video, or walk up, try to pick up girls on the street, or you know, talk about self-improvement while doing it at a crazy party like at the Playboy Mansion. And then the third kind of video will be a video where you're speaking in front of a large audience, and it's a formal classroom environment, controlled environment where you have, you know, 4 cameras, lights, everything.
I stole this from you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you're more operations, right? Like for in management, and Owen's more like marketing, like a visionary.
Yeah.
Like, so like, and that's kind of sort of like me and Brian's role. How do you guys manage conflicts? Because what I know about Owen, seems like he doesn't have any restrictions and anything. And how do you go about imposing them on if need be? I mean, it's not an issue for you guys because it's an issue for us. Also, because I'm such a good marketer, and me too. Like I'm such a good salesman. Like I can bullshit myself in this thing and shit, right? You know, like and I can and rationalizing stuff and.
Owen and I have a interesting relationship. I've actually made a video that was just about that one topic. And since you guys don't know Owen, imagine you're managing Charlie Sheen. And Charlie Sheen was in charge of all your content, and he wanted to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and he has enough money to do that too. And so that's basically what I have to deal with. The only difference is that Owen and I are basically like a married couple. You know, if one of us doesn't exist, everything falls apart. There isn't a relationship. There isn't a company anymore. So we play off each other's strengths. When Owen's somebody who studies business, though. You know, he knows a lot about business. He's great in terms of relationships, interacting with other people. He's really, really in touch with our customer base. Has his ear to the ground. He understands that way more than me, because unless you're interacting with clients all the time, like every day, like what he is, you don't really have that ear to the ground. And he's doing it not just through the social media, but also face to face every single week. And he just gets it. He's a really intelligent guy. You know, he'd probably be in law school right now, you know, with me if he wasn't in charge of this company. He's a really smart guy. Went to one of the top universities in the world. He and I have differences in how we deal with pretty much every aspect of the company. It's kind of like the Republicans and Democrats. They both have the same goal of a better institution, but with very different beliefs in how things are supposed to be run. But we do have a little bit of a difference in that we have trust. We're like brothers, family first. There's nothing that he could ever do that would make it so that I would be completely betrayed, and I'd want, you know, to, you know, not ever speak to him again or something, you know. So I mean, that's a pretty powerful thing, you know. Owen could steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from the company, and I wouldn't care. He would just walk with his assets. I wouldn't come after him legally. That kind of relationship. That's a powerful relationship. We're also very generous, nice people. We're a very giving mentality. So I guess that has a lot to do with it. We also have a situation where if Owen takes time off work, or I take time off work, we're not going to be too mad at each other, because we've also put our blood, sweat, and tears into this relationship. So much so that we know that if the other person slacks off, they've earned it. You know, Owen believes that he'd have nothing if it wasn't for me, and I know that RSD wouldn't exist if it wasn't for him. So that's a very lucky thing. Not all relationships are like that. You know, in terms of like how he manages the conflicts, we have to meet up a lot, and it can't be just over the phone. It has to be in person. It used to be to the extent that we could do it every month, and that was just so that the other person doesn't want to quit. Now it has to be literally every week we're meeting up, because even though you can have that kind of trusted relationship like I'm describing, it's still not enough. You got to meet up a lot. You got to know what the other person's doing. You got to feel like they're on the side of the company. They're on your team. And so talking about what your roles and responsibilities are and making it very clear that's what it needs to be and needs to change. You let the other person know it needs to change, and they agree, and how much you're spending money, all that stuff, all those dynamics has to be very clear if you have a partnership. And it goes not necessarily to that extreme, but something like that when you're in JV partners with other people, where you have people that maybe will talk to them, not necessarily you, but at least somebody from your organization talking to them every week. And so we do that over the phone. You know, although that I believe that overall we're a world-class organization, the processes are still not at that top world-class tier that we're going to continue, and knowing that this system is something that we won't scratch. I believe that even what we're doing now is something that we could scratch in the future because we're continually refining. Even though we aren't in the typical what people would call startup growth phase, because the amount of revenue and the people who work for us, being around since 2002. At the same time, the way I see our company shifting is so dramatic that it kind of feels to me as if I'm building an entirely new company from scratch. And I'm looking forward to that. But it's also out of requirement because almost every 1 to 3 years, there are threats against my company, whether it's in the mainstream media, whether it's internal, whether it's something that has to do with finance and growing too fast. But something will always happen that threatens the entire life of this company. And that tremendous pressure is on my shoulders. Now it's to the point where I have so much that threatens me all the time that doesn't even matter. It's like being a prosecuting attorney. But you have to get that thick skin. It doesn't come easy at all. You have to get a lot of experience winning. And then it comes easy. Easier at least. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, we're going to do like